I'm going to show how to construct a very simple skirt for the Dinkie. And as you can see, I've got Avastar installed here. And we're going to begin by expanding Avatar Kitty. Make sure that the proxy collision skin is enabled so the eye is open. And I'm going to turn off the armature for now so that we can see the mesh clearly. Right, so that would be this one, Avatar Kitty. So that gives us a clearer view. So we're going to be working on top of the proxy collision skin, and that prevents the mesh sinking into the cat body in world, I hope. So you could even turn off the cat body itself, but I'll leave it on for now because it looks pretty. So we're going to begin by adding a circle. So add mesh circle, and I'm going to give it 16 vertices. So change that here. I'm holding the middle mouse and tilting it down so I can see the circle. I'm going to shrink it with S for scale. Move it up to the waist with G, Z. That's grab on the Z axis. Now I'm going to give it a level of subsurface. I'm going to never say this. Subdivision surface modifier. There we go. We'll just give it one level. So each level of subdivision will multiply it again by 4. So if I give it 2 levels, you can see this angularity here. That's gone. However, that's too much for Second Life, so I'll keep it at 1. But anyway, so we're going to give it another modifier now, which is shrink wrap. And we're going to take this eyedropper here and we'll touch the surface of the mesh that we're going to shrink wrap it to, which is this one. Now you can see that it's shrunk to the skin there. Is that a bit high for a skirt? I think it is, so I'm going to drag it down a bit. So GZ. Maybe about there, just to where it very slightly nips in there. Okay, so now go to edit mode. I'm going to start extruding the skirt down and out. So EZ, that's extrude on Z axis. Down to the broadest part of the hips, and then S to scale it out. Now we'll select all with A, and then GY to drag it backwards a bit. So we'll fix where it's clipping afterwards. And I'm going to give it a cut here. So hover over one of these vertical lines and Control R. Alt left click to select the whole loop, and Shift Alt click to select the other one. We'll just scale it a bit more. Actually, I don't want the shrink wrap on the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is Alt left click on that top line. Go to groups here. This is groups. Add a group. And assign that edge, that top edge. And then go back to the modifier and find group in vertex group. Group. That's better. So that shrinks only the waist to the dinky skin. And Alt left click the bottom edge and EZ. And then another Control R loop cut. So left click, right click to confirm. That might be okay. Right, so at this point I'm going to apply the modifiers. But you need to be in object mode. So we change it up here to object mode. And then press this little down arrow here and apply. And again, apply. So that's permanent now. We're going to make this fit the waist a bit better. So back into edit mode. Alt left click this loop and S to scale. Alt left click this loop, S to scale. And if you hold down Shift, you can get more precision, do it more carefully. That looks okay. The tummy could be a bit flatter. So let's do that now. So we're going to go into sculpt mode. Up here, sculpt mode. These are the brushes, and we want the smooth brush. Change the strength to something that's going to work, something like 200 to start with. And change the size of the brush with F. So press F and move the mouse to scale it down a bit. Now that brush size will change if you relative to the skirt as you zoom in and out. Right, so smooth a bit. Turn it to the side with numpad 3. I don't know why smooth doesn't work so well at the bottom, but it will do if you persevere. Now what I should have done is had X mirror turned on here. It's a bit late now, but I'll try not to forget next time. Instead, I can mirror the skirt. So back to edit mode. I'm going to delete the left side, but first I'm going to toggle on X-ray so I can select through. Press B to border select. Select all the vertices except the center line. X delete vertices. Go to object mode. turn off X-ray now. Add modifier, mirror. We've got merge on. We want to tick clipping. You can see that it's crossing over there. So if we alter the clipping a bit, no. The clipping is supposed to stop it crossing over, but it doesn't seem to be. So we'll fix that afterwards. So let's apply that. So now it's the same both sides. And to fix that, into edit mode, Alt left click that edge, Alt left click that edge. And SX0. And then M, merge by distance. So that's merging the vertices that I've scaled to X. And you can see that's removed 7 vertices. And the back probably doesn't need it. That seems to have worked. So I've still got a bit of a point there. So I'm going to turn on loop tools. So edit preferences, add-ons, loop tools. And mine's already activated, but you can find it and then tick it there. And then Alt left click the bottom edge, right click, loop tools, relax. And then do that for each of the pointy loops. I think maybe it would have been quicker to have undone my sculpting and then turned on X mirror. Okay. Now we can right click the skirt and shade smooth. Right, so now we're going to examine the normals. So the normals should be facing outwards. And we can see that if we click this overlay here and click face orientation, and it's blue, so that's good. If it was red, it would be inside out. Okay. So let's bind it to the armature now. But first of all, we're going to apply scale and rotation and location. So press Ctrl A and choose all transforms. And you can see that that applies each of those that I just mentioned. And we're going to turn on the armature again, which is Avatar Kitty. Select the skirt, shift select the skeleton, go to binding and skinning, change whatever's here to copy from meshes. And we're copying from the collision skin, which is this one. So tick only that. Untick smooth weights and then bind to armature. Now if we were successful, click the skirt and click this, what looks like bare knickers, 3 little dots in a triangle. So we can delete this one now that we made earlier, which was group, so that might interfere with what we're doing next. And these are the weights that were assigned to the skirt. So now we can test by posing. So in pose and animate, pose and animate workflow. Make sure that's selected, and then we can select this hip bone here. These are bones. I know they don't look like it, but they're shapes that are connected to the bones. So with X mirror on, press type R and pull the mouse. And that looks very jaggedy down here. So go into edit mode. Whoops, not on the skeleton. Back to pose mode. Select the skirt first and then go into edit mode. And that doesn't look very nice, does it? Okay, so let's turn on X-ray. And we're going to select through by holding down the control button and the right mouse and draw a shape. And we're going to try and get most of what's jaggedy. And with X-ray on, that's selected the back as well. But I see that the waistband is still selected, so we don't want that. So hold Alt, Shift, left click, and that deselects it. Right, so now we want to smooth that. So that will be Mesh, Weights, Smooth. We want to change from active group to deform pose bones. That didn't need much smoothing. Let's try one more. Let's turn off X-ray for a minute. So let's go about 7. So 7 iterations. And then click away. And then back to object mode. Left click the hip. Alt R. Turn it to the side with numpad 3. Turn off X-ray. Sorry, turn off X mirror. I think I'm pretty lucky with this. It's not really pushing in to the waist. Let's put her into sitting position. It's not bad. So I haven't had any problems with this one, so in the future I might do a problem solving video. Right, so let's unwrap it. So select the skirt and then edit mode. And we're going to give it some seams. So we're going to turn on X-ray. We haven't really got a seam in the middle of the side here. So we'll choose that one. And Alt left click again so that it's selected the other side. And then turn off X-ray again. And then Control E, mark seam. Press 1 for front view again. And then select all and go to UV editing. And then unwrap. And then we'll orientate this. So R90. That one looks nicely centered. So we're just going to move this one along. Try and be in face select, which I wasn't. Face select. Hover over the bottom island and press L. GX. So that's centered now. And we don't want it to be touching the edge so much, because when you come to bake any texture on it, if you do any baking, then it's going to impact the texture. So select all and then S a little bit. That's okay. And then back to layout view up here. And you want to give it some thickness where it's going to show when you're dancing. So as it's quite bell shaped, it's going to show up to about there, I think. Oops, up to about there. So how I selected this loop for faces was to put my mouse on this short line here and Alt left click, and that selects the whole loop. And then Shift Alt left click for the next one. Go away. And then Control F, solidify. And that's too thick, so I'm going to change the thickness here to 0.0010. Now you've got here kind of a shading, which we don't want, so we're going to add one last modifier. And that's weighted normal. And it will tell you enable auto smooth in object data properties. So again, that's this triangle here. Hold the middle mouse and move up this panel to normals, and then tick auto smooth. And that's got rid of the nasty shading. One more thing, if you wanted to reduce the number of polys, turn on X-ray, go into edit mode, scroll right in, Alt left click on this short edge and X delete faces. Go to object mode, turn off X-ray, and that's ready to export. Now we're going to Second Life and upload it. Build, upload, mesh, skirt. It looks like nothing on Earth, of course, until you tick this bottom right hand box. And then level of detail 0, physics lowest, upload or calculate and then upload. You can attach it to anything. You can even attach it to your eyeball. And that fits nicely. So I'll give it a texture. Let's try the same texture as the top here. It's quite sweet. You can test it with a little dance.
What the duck? Uh-oh! What the duck? What the duck?